White played. The king still can't castle. I can't believe this game isn't more known. Today we have Wilhelm Steinitz, the first official world chess champion. In 1886 he was crowned after beating Johannes Zukertort. But this is way before 1886 when he was a mere chess player in Vienna, Austria, his home city. In this game, he is playing a certain Steinitz-Pilhal. I don't know who that is, but whatever. Wilhelm Steinitz has the white pieces against Ed, his opponent, and he starts off with e4. His opponent goes with e5, knight f3 attacking e5, and then knight c6 to defend. Steinitz goes with bishop c4, normal development, and his opponent reciprocates with bishop c5. Now Steinitz goes for an opening that is lesser played at the very top level today, and that is called the Evans Gambit with b4. The idea of this gambit, a gambit is you give a pawn or you give two pawns, you give material for an advancement of development or another intangible asset, an intangible advantage in the game, in the position. And here he sacks a pawn on b4. His opponent takes immediately, and the idea is to push c3, attacking the bishop, so that when the bishop moves, you can take a jab at a full great center with d4. His opponent takes on d4, to which now this pawn is pinned and cannot take back on d4, and so now Steinitz castles, which is to this day the theory moves. Now this is not played at Super Jam level because it's just not good anymore. Super Jams with the black pieces have found tangible advantages far beneath the move 15 or 16. It goes like to move 20, in which black has a small advantage. Castles is played here. We're threatening this pawn. It is not required to take here. It's not recommended because of queen b3 and you're threatening f7. So his opponent goes with knight f6, developing really wisely to castle quick as well, because in this opening your king can be caught in the center far too long. And that is right on theme for this next move. Steinitz goes with a bishop a3. Now you see inaccuracy there, but what you don't see is that I ran the engine at a depth 25 and it said that this is the best move for the white in this position. So it's not inaccurate. This is a low engine game review, right? Low depth. So bishop covers this f8 square and black cannot castle. So what does black do? Well, of course, there's d6. d6 is a really valid move to break the bishop's control over f8, and now the king can slide to g8 and castle safely. Well, Steinitz does not wait and goes e5, trying to crack open this d6 pawn like a treasure chest and keep the pressure on f8. His opponent attacked here needs to take. If you go, let's say, knight e4, some complications with e takes, and now the opening of the a file on your knight can be crucially winning for white. So takes is the obvious looking move to play, although it is a mistake because it allows queen b3, which Steinitz plays, to attack f7, threatening it with check. So black must defend with queen d7 and now rook e1. These are all great moves in a row. Super, really active play. You see how he's developing his pieces while attacking, the queen to b3 while attacking. This makes for really active play, and this is how you outplay your opponent, by making threats while putting in your pieces into the attack. This is always a good sign that you're killing it in a game of chess. Rook e1, and you're threatening this pawn at once. Black's best move here is e4, which then gives this, but it's really interesting. It gives knight g5, and I just don't love these lines for black. It seems like they're always trailing behind. Knight e5, and now there's this really nice knight takes e4 move. This didn't happen in the game, by the way, but it's a really interesting variation to look at because this looks all good for white, right? There's no real way out. If you take this, you open up for this discovery, and then knight takes f6, double check on the king and queen, and now white wins a queen. So e4, you know, there's really nice lines going attached to that. That didn't happen. Queen f5 happened, and here Steinitz is human. The first world chess champion missed a beautiful sacrifice here, which is knight takes e5. On knight takes, which deflects the knight off the bishop, there's queen b5 check, forking these two pieces. You can't come back with your knight because this time it is pinned to the king. And this, let's say you defend here, I can just take, and the pressure remains on this knight with the pawn up and with serious considerations of taking here on d4. So missed here, and bishop b5 instead is played, pinning this knight and still threatening some good stuff with knight takes e5. Mind you, the king still can't castle. You would want black to play something like this, or bishop e6 for a castle quicks, right, attacking this, but the bishop e5 move, it's beautiful because it prevents that. You take, and then queen b7, and here black have further complications. I mean, you can't do castles on any side, not here, not here. And then on rook c8, this falls. We don't like this. Black defends the pin here while still defending b7, so the queen doesn't take. And now white goes with queen d5, a weird move. A really weird move. The queen advances into the opponent's position. I don't recommend this type of advance, though here there's a little caveat. Black doesn't seem able to attack this queen in a really good way to then progress further their position. There's nothing here. Like, let's say knight f6, right? You're attacking. Rook takes c5. This knight is pinned. So what do you do here? The best move was queen e6, trying to trade queens, but okay, after takes, I really like the white pieces. And also takes here. Ooh, takes here! So that after takes we win a piece, and if you take here, we can take the bishop. Black really has to forfeit a whole piece to do the better move here. So that's how bad this position looks. Instead, black takes on c3, threatening this rook, and now Steinitz finds a winning combination. First, you have to take off the attacker, developing on tempo, forcing another move, right? This is always good. So knight takes e5 is played, still taking up f8. You gotta mention it every 3 or 4 moves. The king is still in the center, and this is where it's being punished, because now the e file is opened. That line is gonna be, it's gonna be opened sooner or later, and this knight is gonna have a discovered check really tastily on this king. Tastily is not an English word, but we're gonna go with it. And on knight takes e5, again, it's really hard to play this. You can't take with either knight because of the pin that this bishop does on either knight. This is a fork, you're winning a queen. And it's the same exact thing on knight takes and then rook takes. It's the same thing, the knight is pinned. So here, what do you do? You get out of the discovery? I'm threatening this with check. It's completely over already. But just for the spicy stuff, his opponent goes with knight e7. And now Steinitz plays a move that I am angry about because it is not a brilliant move. And you judge to see if it's worthy of a brilliant move or if it's not worthy of a brilliant move. White played knight takes d7, sacrificing a queen fully on d5. His opponent charmingly takes, but let's say he doesn't. Bishop takes. The rook would have a pleasure taking on e7, defended, right? The king going here, we take this, king c8. We take the queen. I mean, you're taking everything in this position. No hostages left. So here, his opponent took on d5. And the beauty of this knight on d7, you place this knight to sack the queen. Now we don't need the queen anymore. But this knight and bishop work in wonderful, magical ways to create knight f6, double check fork. I have never seen this many times in my life. Never, maybe ever. The king has to move. Even though my bishop is attacked, even though my knight is attacked, even though they're attacked at the same time, you have to move the king. And where does the king go? To f8. This knight is like bodying this king. And all we need is a pawn check, the equivalent of bishop takes e7, defended by the rook and checkmating the king. What a beautiful checkmate. Instead, his opponent went for the more beautiful mate. I mean, come on. King d8 here. Again, king move is forced. So now bishop takes e7 is also mate. And just double checking. I love how this knight and bishop, they're just working together. Like honest working men. Just like working the field, you know? Taking up e8, taking up d7, both of them. They're just helping each other out here. And in this beautiful, picturesque position, Wilhelm Steinitz beat Steinitz-Pilhal in 1860 in Vienna, Austria, planet Earth. On that note, I will wish you a wonderful day or night. See you soon. Thank you so much for watching.